I am the CEO of Roverman Productions, but for the purposes of this platform, I am on your side. I am in your corner, and I am committed to helping you become your best self. Now, before we go on to the presentation for today, let me take a moment to announce that our next play that will open to the public on the 1st of July and then 2nd of July at the National Theatre is entitled The Woman in the Bathroom. The Woman in the Bathroom. Don't try to guess what the woman is doing in the bathroom. Just come and watch it. So if you are in Ghana or anywhere where you can make the trip, would be very happy to see you and to share this fantastic production with you. I am aware of our digital family, of our digital community. Yes, Chrissy, thank you. Your English has come up today. And I'd like to acknowledge a few of them, very few of you. Subsequently, every week, I'll try to acknowledge a few more. So to Ofoli, and Ofoli, please change your name. Give me another name that's on the L and I is very dangerous for me. And then Lord is there, Nesbeth, King Solomon, Your Majesty, Equia, Sabia Johnson, Tricia, Bernadette. I appreciate the fact that you guys make the community so vibrant and so interesting and so fun and so witty. So thank you very much. And to all the others whose names I haven't even mentioned, I appreciate the fact that we can count on you, that every Friday when we come, you are here to join us and to make this fantastic. So today, we're continuing our series of challenges in relationships. And today we are going to look at sexless marriage, the sexless marriage. Now, let me begin with the definition of sexless. Sexless marriage. Now, before I go there, let me try and, for the sake of the Kensakis and the Cannesons and ENCORE and our busy guests, let me announce that if you are not married, it is proper for you to be sexless. So, so when you are courting, every courtship, for it to be ideal, must remain sexless. So, and that is not because I am being prude or being old-fashioned. It's because experience has shown that as soon as sex comes into a relationship that has not become that committed, that whole relationship is undermined. So that is why. Now, so let's go on to the sexless marriage. How do we define it? This is how you know whether a marriage is sexless or not. If the couple is having 10 or less sexual encounters in a year, 10 or less sexual encounters in a year, that is a sexless marriage. That's the definition of it. And the American National Health and Social Life Survey puts it that 20% of couples fall in this category. 20%. It means 1 in every 5 couples. And the Newsweek magazine estimates that between 15 and 20% of couples are in sexless marriage. So that, as it were, confirms the findings of the American National Health and Social Life Survey. Don't ask me for the Ghana statistics because we don't keep records like this. So that's why I can't give you the Ghana one. But human beings are not that different. So whatever pertains there is very likely to be the case here. Now, I'll go into reasons, what causes sexless marriages? Why does a marriage become sexless? And I'm giving you 30 points on that. 1, lack of physical attraction. When the chemistry is not there, you can't force it to be there. That's the first one. And that's why it's important that no matter what you do, at least let there be a certain level of physical attraction before you move the relationship forward into marriage. 2, not making sex a priority and planning for it. When I talk about planning for sex, it may look unromantic. That do we plan? Yes, you have to plan and schedule it. Otherwise, all other things will crowd it out, and very soon, you guys will be there and you'll be having sex less than once a month. 3, illness. Illness can cause one party to lose interest altogether. 4, body odor and general poor personal hygiene by one or both partners. Now this gets very sensitive, because if you do not like the scent on the body odor of your partner, or the hygiene habits of your partner, it becomes very difficult to raise it. It becomes very difficult because often at the beginning we don't talk about it. We think, oh, I can cope with it. I can cope with it. So by month 6 or after the first year, you realize that I really can't cope with it. And then now the problem is that you've allowed it to continue to this point. Why are you now going to raise it? And if they ask you, why are you now making the point? So that's a very difficult one. 5, waking up to the realization that you made the wrong choice. This is where, at the time you were marrying, you knew your heart was somewhere else. This could cause you not to desire your partner as much as you need to. 6, poor sexual performance. If your partner's performance is not up to scratch, agreeing to have the encounter becomes always difficult. You put it off as much as you can. 7, ignorance of the role of sex in marriage. Sex has a particular role in marriage, and when you don't know how important and how vital it is, you may think it is not that important and let it slide. 8, unresolved issues. Issues come in any relationship, and if you do not pay attention to them, if you do not attend to them, what will happen is that one person may be harboring pain and will withdraw emotionally. And related to that, 9, unnecessary conflicts and fights resulting in anger and resentment. It isn't every issue that should be a conflict. This isn't every issue we should fight over. And sometimes it pays to pick your fights carefully. But if you are fighting so often, what will happen is that very soon the two of you wouldn't want to touch it. Indeed, you wouldn't want to see each other at all. 10, misplaced priorities. Misplaced priorities. This is where you've given attention to every other thing in life apart from ministering to your spouse. You've become so busy, everything, you are able to have time for everything apart from your partner. 11, wrong motives for marriage. If one party married for children, for instance, and that is a wrong motive for marrying. If one party married for children, then when the children come, mission is accomplished. So why should he have or she allow you to have sex with her or sleep with you? She doesn't want to be bothered anymore because she's got what she wants. 12, using sex as a weapon to punish or to manipulate. If you use sex to punish your partner, the chances are that there would come a time when your partner will not want any of it at all. Or you yourself may prolong how often you have it because you are punishing your partner. 13, an affair. Either a past affair or an ongoing affair. Affair creates sexless marriages at 2 levels. One is that the party having the affair, if it is still ongoing, has already satisfied himself emotionally and sexually. So when he comes in here, he's not quite interested. The other thing is that an affair will make you so dissatisfied and about your partner, you would see only the faults of your partner and not want to touch him or her. 14, a low self-esteem. When one party has a low self-esteem, flowing in the sexual act becomes very difficult, and so those are the people who sometimes will not even want to, of course, they will not have sex when the light is on, and they not want you to see them in the nude when it is daylight. It must always be under cover of darkness. 15, not being in the mood. And there are reasons, sometimes chemical imbalances and things like that can create a situation where one partner is, for long periods, not in the mood for a sexual encounter. 16, poor religious teaching. When people, almost every religion would raise you to say that abstain, abstain, abstain. Now, unfortunately, when we get married, they don't also reverse the teaching that they have done. So you marry, and even though you are married, your default programming is still abstain, 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 abstain. And you forget that the marriage bed is undefiled, and you can let go now. Nobody helps us with that. 17, the ghost of the past. Be it guilt or regret of something you've done in the past can haunt you so badly that the sexual encounter will become very difficult for you. 18, the fear of having more children. And this comes especially in the cases where, in two cases. For the women, it comes in the cases where your husband does not help you in taking care of the existing children. Then you don't want to have any more children. And for the men, it comes when the economy gets too hard, and therefore you're struggling with even the children we have, and you may not want to have more children. Life being what it is sometimes at the point where you decide that, you know something, let's not have any more children, that your partner decides that this is the time to increase the population of Ghana. 19, mismatched sex drives. There are partners, couples where the two of you don't have the same sex drive, and that could, sometimes even when one party is in the mood, it's at the wrong time, and things like that, it could create all kinds of situations. 20, boredom. Boredom, when the sex act is no longer fun, it becomes a sense of obligation and things like that. Then it becomes a chore. And when this thing that should be fantastic becomes a chore, trust me, nobody wants to do a chore. We run away from it. 21, fatigue. Fatigue, when there's one person's life is so difficult and the person is so tired. And this happens a lot when a woman has just has little children. Little children can run you ragged, especially when they begin to move around. And you always have to keep an eye on them. And if your partner is not supportive, you are in big trouble. 22, childbirth. In the period, a few months after a new baby is come, you will have to be on a fast like Kabute is right now. That is why if you're in Kabute's car and you see him in road rage, no, remember, he's a nursing father. 23, stress. 24, erectile dysfunction. Erectile dysfunction, when Kojo Mensah does not stand to attention, it becomes very difficult to now decide that let's go for a match pass because he can't stand to attention. 25, low sexual drive. I talked about mismatched sex drive, and I'm talking about there are people who the chemical issues in their body, their sex drive is perpetually low. 26, the side effects of medications. There are certain drugs that can kill your sex drive altogether and make you not put you ever in the mood for sex. 27, depression and other mental health issues. 26, history of sex abuse. If your partner has had sex abuse in her past, then you've got to be very careful and sensitive. because anytime you make an approach, it could trigger the memory of that and shut her desire off. 29, and this is a very serious one, and it is becoming very common now. Addiction to pornography. A lot of people, now that pornography is so commonly available on the net, there are people who can no longer release. A lot of the reasons why a lot of people have passwords on their phone is because of the pornography. They are watching it, and what happens when you get addicted to pornography is that you are making love in your mind and you can't do it physically. Your ability to have sex becomes hampered. And a study has shown that more and more young people would rather masturbate than have sex with a real person. And 30, marriage of convenience. Marriage of convenience. This happens to especially Africans who travel abroad, where they marry somebody who has the right papers so they could stay, hoping that they can also process their own papers. And sometimes built into that marriage is that we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. There's one case I know where they agreed, we're not going to do this. And then one day, he made a mistake and touched the woman. And the woman enjoyed him so much that I decided, now, it's no longer marriage of convenience. We are marrying him. we are marrying him. Unfortunately, he had a wife already in Ghana, and it was a very messy situation. Now, I'm going to make a distinction because I don't want people to confuse sexless marriage with loveless marriage. There are marriages where the sex is 10 or less times a year, but there are also loveless marriages. So what's the difference? I'm going to give you 9 differences of these two. 1, if your partner wants sex and keeps bringing it up only to be rejected by you or ignored by you, or if you want sex and you keep bringing it up, but your partner keeps rejecting you, keeps ignoring your concerns and your request for sex, then you are in a loveless marriage. If both partners are happy with the lack of sex, that is simply a sexless marriage. In a loveless marriage, one party is so unhappy about it, brings it up, talks about it, the other party just won't have anything to do with it. Then you are in a loveless relationship. 2, if the showing of affection and the giving of gifts and the initiative for closeness and for cuddling is one-sided, then you are likely to be in a loveless marriage. In a sexless marriage, there will still be closeness, sometimes even cuddling, and gifts will be given on a two-way basis. And there will be other forms of expression of love, and this will go both ways, except that the sex is not happening as regular, as often as it needs to do. But if it is one way, then you are in a loveless marriage. 3, if your partner is doing things to avoid sleeping with you, or if your partner is intentionally picking up fights with you to avoid sleeping with you, then you are likely to be in a loveless marriage and not a sexless one. You know, it's like, you know, there's a phenomenon that comes around Christmas. A lot of boys, when Christmas is coming and they know they have to get a Christmas present, they pick up quarrels with their girlfriends. And so by the time Christmas comes, they have broken up. So they are under no obligation to give a gift until Christmas is past. Then they make up. Cheap boys. 4, if you find yourself in a relationship where one partner is constantly using sex as a weapon, it's like, do this. If you don't do this, there's not going to be. I'm not going to sleep with you. You have to do this. And it's using sex as almost like a carrot, as we used to do with donkeys. Then you are in a loveless relationship. That is, if your one partner is using sex as a weapon of manipulation, either as a weapon or as a bribe, then love is suspect here. 5, if the lack of sex is affecting you emotionally and your partner does not try to remedy the situation, then it is safe to say that you are in a loveless marriage. 6, if your partner has an excuse every single time to avoid having sex with you, then you are in a loveless marriage. 7, if with all that is going on, you will still marry each other if given the chance. That is, with all that is going on in your current marriage, if you got a chance to marry, you would pick each other, then you are in a sexless marriage and not a loveless one. Because in a loveless one, there's no way you would want to repeat the experience. 8, if your partner refuses to talk about the lack of sex in your relationship and constantly blames you or puts you down, then you are in a loveless marriage, not in a sexless one. And 9, if you are considering leaving your partner over the lack of sex, then yours may be a loveless marriage. Because in a sexless marriage, the lack of sex often, yes, does not become a deal breaker for either partner. Now, let's quickly run through 10 signs that you are slipping into a sexless marriage. 10 signs that you are slipping into it. Remember this, that some couples don't marry and decide that, look, you know something, we are going to have a sexless marriage. No. It sometimes creeps upon them. And sometimes they don't even know how they got there and often don't know how to get out of that trap of being in a sexless marriage. So let's look at the signs so that you can know these and avoid them. Now, if you are not married, I am sharing these things so that you know them, make note of them, so you don't make the mistakes others have made. 1, if you are starting to feel more like roommates than intimate partners, then you are gradually slipping into sexless marriage. And this is where you sleep in the same room, possibly in the same bed, but you don't see each other as intimate partners. And so no touching, nothing. You no longer make the effort to groom yourself to appear attractive to your partner. Then you are gradually creating the circumstances that will push you into a sexless marriage. 2, you are not comfortable talking about sex together. If you've never had an open conversation about sex, it is likely that you are heading into a sexless marriage. To have a healthy sex life in marriage, the two of you must be able to talk about the quality of sex you're having or the lack thereof and discuss how you could transform it. 3, if you are giving all of your time and energy to the kids, then you are gradually moving into a sexless marriage. It is true that when the children come at first, when they are babies, infants, there's a need to focus a lot of time and energy and resources on them. But whilst you do that, it is important to recognize that one, you've got to nurture yourself, you've got to nurture the relationships, and you've got to also pay attention to your partner, especially when the kid, the baby is a few months old, before it becomes a habit that now we just go to bed, you sleep, I sleep, we wake up, and it's all about the children. 4, you avoid watching romantic and erotic scenes on television or in movies together. You know, the kind where you know, and sometimes when you are watching a movie, you know this is leading up to something. If you are watching this with your partner and suddenly he or you change the channel, then there's trouble heading, because then it shows that you're not comfortable with sex. Because sometimes watching a scene like that helps with the hand, it helps. Because sometimes it provides an inspiration for you to also go and do something. Show the people in the film that you two, you can have your own movie. 5, you stop flirting with each other and teasing each other. When you get there, you are no longer, teasing each other. You're no longer doing the kind of things that would excite each other. Then you are heading into a sexless marriage. 6, your partner makes fun of your sex drive or lack of sex drive. If your partner is making fun of you and putting you down, making you feel bad, very soon you will not want to have sex at all. 7, you rarely touch each other outside of the bedroom, and sometimes even inside the bedroom. You move past each other and there's no touching. Even if accidentally you bump into each other, you go, excuse me. Then there's trouble looming ahead. Please be careful. 8, you purposely stay up later than your partner to avoid having to say, not tonight. So your partner has gone to the bedroom. You know your partner is waiting for you. You are in the hall watching the television. You know you are not enjoying anything. Nothing interesting is going on the television. But you are glued there because you are dreading making the move into the bedroom. Because you know when you go, there will be a move and you are going to say no. You don't want to say no. There's another variation of this. That's when one of the parents takes to sleep in the children's room. And when I see that, I laugh. In the home that I was raised, there was no children's room and parents' room. You go upon a shower in our children's room. So now you are avoiding using it. 9, you pack your schedule so tight and so heavily with other obligations that it leaves little time for each other. When you do that, you can be sure sex will be sacrificed in your marriage. And 10, you have unrealistic expectations about what sex should be like in your marriage. Listen, in marriage, when you marry, especially after a few years, it isn't every time that the sex will be ideal, will be wonderful, but it's all part of it. So muddle through it. It isn't every game that Messi shines on. There are games that he doesn't shine. So, but it's all part of the game. So you keep it going. Now, how do you turn a sexless marriage around? And I'm going to give you 12 points on how to turn a sexless marriage around. 1, honesty and openness. In other words, talk about it. Be open, be honest to talk about the lack of sex or talk about what is putting you off the sex. If you do not like the scent from the critical zone, say it. Sometimes I like to go down, but the bomb there, I want to save my head. Talk about it openly. 2, settle issues and address conflicts regularly. And in doing that, heal emotional wounds. Especially, for many people, when they are hurt, they can't flow with you sexually. So settle the issues, address the issues, talk about them, and apologize when you have to. 3, be affectionate, thoughtful, helpful, and attentive to your spouse. Show affection. Be thoughtful. Be helpful. Be attentive to your spouse. Otherwise, what will happen is that if you leave your spouse to do all the household chores, and you are just waiting for her to come to bed so you can have a sexual encounter, by the time she comes, she's tired. So if you want that one, then join her in the kitchen and see what you can do to help. Take care of the children, maybe bath the children or something, so that she will not be that tired. 4, watch your personal hygiene. Don't assume that because you hold a PhD, you don't smell, you don't have body odor. Body odor doesn't know whether you speak in tongues or you have a PhD. So, to be on the safe side, take a shower before you come to bed. Take a shower before you come to bed. 5, Schedule sex. Schedule sex. So decide that every Friday evening we'll watch a replay of ENCORE, and then after that it will happen. And then when you schedule it, put off the phone, let it happen. And let it happen. Or sometimes let there be a bit of fantasy. The color of the lights, flowers and things like that. All helps. The scent in the room, perfume the room a little. Schedule it and let it happen. 6, emphasize intimacy and playfulness. And be playful with each other's body. You know, your partner is taking a shower. Oh, go in there and have fun, kakra. You know, and you say, oh, don't do that, oh boy, he likes it. So go do it. 7, don't wait to be in the mood. Listen, sex is one of the things that when you start doing it, you'll be in the mood. So don't wait to be in the mood before you initiate it. Once it starts, the body will begin to release the hormones, and then you'll suddenly be in the mood. 8, follow the lead of the initiator. Let me make this comment. Listen, in most relationships, there's one partner who initiates sex, the most for sex. Sometimes that partner feels cheated because I'm always the only person, but that may be your ministry in this relationship. That if you don't initiate, it doesn't happen. So don't feel bad about it. You initiate it. But if you are not the initiator, once the initiator makes the move, please go along. You will enjoy it, okay? You would enjoy it. Don't say that I'm not in the mood. Go. You would enjoy it. Follow the lead. As soon as the one who initiates, don't say I have a meeting tomorrow. This is also part of the meeting. This is the beginning of the meeting and the preparation for the meeting, okay? So go along and you'll find that it will be fine. 9, don't have sex immediately you go to bed. Have sex after the two of you have had some rest. And then you can have it. There's nothing that says that as soon as you put off the lights, you should go into action. Sometimes allow your partner to sleep because he may be tired. Generally so. But after a while, there are subtle ways of waking your partner. And then let the move happen. 10, restore the art of seduction and flirting with your partner. Learn to seduce your partner. The things you wear to the bathroom, out of the bathroom and things like that. And ladies, listen to this. Don't give the boy the full thing, you know. It isn't always that when a man sees the naked body of his wife, it moves him. So sometimes leave something for imagination. And then it will happen. 11, help each other to be better at the act. Because sometimes the excuse people give for not wanting to have sex is that, oh, I'm not enjoying it. Well, you're not enjoying it. There's a reason why you're not enjoying it. Maybe your partner is not up to it. So help each other. Tell each other what you love, what you would want the other to do. And once it is told to you, please do it. Unless what the person is asking is a fantasy, something he has picked from a pornographic film. Listen, the people in the pornographic, they are not proper human beings, so leave them there. You are married to a proper person, so be careful. 12, understand your sexual responsibility to your spouse. When you marry, your body belongs to your partner. It doesn't belong to you anymore. So when your partner touches your body and you say no, what are you saying? You can't say no. When your wife touches your body, she's touching something that belongs to her. When your husband touches your body, he's touching something that belongs to him. That is the responsibility for sex. And don't play with it. Now, we've gone through the courses. We've made a distinction between loveless and sexless. We've looked at how to turn one around. But for good measure, let me just end by reminding you of the place or significance of sex in marriage. One, it is for bonding. It is for bonding. So don't get used to it. Don't get to the point where you say, well, yeah. No, keep doing it. Two, it is often the gauge of the health of your relationship. It is often the gauge of the health of your relationship. Three, it communicates, I value you and I want to please you in the relationship. I value you and I want to please you. Four, it communicates commitment to the marriage. And finally, it is an obligation to God and to yourself and to your spouse. Sex in marriage is an obligation you owe to God, first and foremost. And then you owe it to yourself as well, because it is good for your health. And then finally to your spouse, because your spouse needs it to feel good, not only about the relationship, but about himself or herself. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been what to do in a sexless marriage. I hope if you are not in one, thank God for that. But keep this information at the back of your mind, especially note the signs, so that when the signs are creeping into your relationship, you can be quick to nip it in the bud. If you are not married, note these things, so that when you get into marriage, you'll be way ahead of the game. Now, I'll pause here for a moment, and then when we come back, we'll take your questions. And remember, my next play, The Woman in the Bathroom. And she's not in a sexless marriage. See you soon.
Thought-provoking, motivational, inspirational, attitude, values, faith, soul-inspiring content, value for money. New Look, the magazine that reports on our values, attitudes, and faith for discerning people. Rover Report Monthly Magazine. Your copies from all Shell shops, Total shops, and a supermarket near you. Or call 0302-231188 for subscription.
Honey, I have laid the bed. Baby, honey, tomorrow I have a meeting. I have a business meeting tomorrow.
Sir? Oh, sweetheart. Here, take this.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us. I appreciate the fact that you continue to make the investment of time and data to stay with us. I don't take that for granted. So now I'll be taking your questions and your comments. So let the community come alive.
Caroline says, how do you draw the line between your spouse and your children?
Well, see it this way. Your children are guests in your marriage. They are guests. They are passing through. When it's their time, they will move on. Your spouse, if God spares your life, you're going to be with each other till death do you part. The children have no commitment to you for death do you part. So that is where you draw the line.
Uncle Augustina Ewuku says, Uncle, I'm back. I came at the right time. I actually love this topic, you know. Thank you.
Tina, Mafio, I hope to see you very soon. But I have noted your comment. No, hey. She didn't. She just said she turned up at the right time. She hasn't made any other statement.
Somebody agrees. Kwate says, Uncle, what are the health benefits of sex?
Let's treat that as a different thing. But the point is that it relieves stress. It gives you a very good feeling because it releases oxytocin that helps you put your demons in their place and things like that. But we can treat that seriously later.
Uncle, someone is asking, what if she likes horror movies?
What if who?
She likes horror movies.
Who is a she?
One the partner, no.
The partner likes horror movies.
And so there are no scenes for them to, And that one, when she gets scared, then she'll jump into your arms. You see that?
All right, I think you guys have answered it to yourselves, so let's go on.
Caroline says, silence is golden. You don't want to start with your complaints about the bomb. It's called nagging.
Okay, that's a good comment.
Uncle Joe Owusu is asking, how many times do you suggest one goes in a week?
Oh, it varies. No, there is no standard because it depends on you. It depends on your age. It depends on your schedules. It depends on you. But it is recommended that for young couples who are also career people, if you could aim at 58 times a year, that will help.
So
it works out to more than once a week, 58 times in a year. Kaute, I've seen that you set up well.
Oh, it's in response to it.
That's a wara.
It's a message. It's a message. So what's up? Says, Uncle, this sex thing, please, no free ticket for me.
No, I don't give tickets for my sex life. So that one, even if you have money, you won't be able to buy a ticket to it. But it's a wonderful show, I can assure you.
Daniel Wusu is asking, Uncle, how can you put your spouse in the mood?
Affection, time, give time, talk, be helpful, touch, talk, speak, sweet words. Apologize if you have to. Lots of other things. Gifts. Learn the love language of your partner. Some of them service. Just ironing her things may put her in a good mood for you. But just remember, you don't rush it. Some of the build it up gradually, and it works.
What if your spouse is selfish and does not want to make sex about both of you, even after you have complained?
Oh, that is a difficult one. That's a difficult one. I hope your partner would listen, because when one party makes sex only about himself or herself, it doesn't help either. And that person never gets the quality of sex that would really be, that he could have had if he had made it about both of you.
Mommy, Uncle, a husband cheats on the wife severally. Now the wife always thinks of the man sleeping with another woman whenever they are making love.
Yeah.
For this reason, love making is like chop and go.
Yes.
What do I do?
Oh, that's difficult. It's one of the most torturous situations a woman can find herself when, in the very heat of it, your mind goes to. So this is what he also does with the other one. It's a painful place to be. I hope that he would outgrow it and get out of that kind of situation, and be able to create an environment of a climate of trust in your relationship, so that you can then finally be able to give yourself fully in the art.
Kwesi Hayford says,
See the-
Uncle, is there any sex tips on deploying the waist beads in lovemaking?
Another topic.
Artillery commanders.
Because I am happy to realize that you enjoy playing with the bees. Keep playing with the bees.
He sings to it. Abby is asking, Uncle, you have said that women in marriages like sex more than the men. What is the cause of this?
It's a connection. Women love connection. It's not the sex per se. It's the intimacy and the connection more than the sex itself. So that is it. Women are always about connection and about bonding. So that is why that happens.
Ikia Sabia says, Uncle, please, how can I ask this guy who is ticking all the boxes except his body mass to hit the gym? I really don't find big guys attractive at all. I'm stalling my response to date him because I know myself.
Oh, it's difficult, isn't it? But at this listen, Asabia, this is the time when he will do anything you ask. So talk to him. Tell him to go to the gym. He will go. If you say yes, he won't mind you. He won't go. Now that you haven't said yes and he's waiting for you to say yes, tell him, be open with him and say, you know something, you take all my boxes, but I don't like the fact that you are pregnant and I don't know when you will deliver.
My God.
So you go to the gym and let's remove that pregnancy and so that you will look trim.
They should go together.
You have the mic. Speak.
No, I'm saying she could suggest that they go together.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Do you know where they?
Charlie.
Do you know where they live?
Oh,
And the
okay.
various points where they live. So, I know because at this point, whatever she says, the boy will listen and take seriously. So she should play her card and tell him, do this. Or if she can't do it, let her get one of his best friends and talk to the friend and say that, can you tell your friend that is the only thing stopping? So he should do something about this. Because you see, Asabia, it is not even about you. It is for his own sake. If his body mass is not right, he is killing himself. Every step he takes, every breath he takes, he is killing himself. So it is in his own interest. So if he can put it in a way that helps him to understand the health benefits to him for going doing a workout, I think that would be beautiful.
From WhatsApp, does pornography help couples get in the mood?
Pornography leads to an addiction, and once addiction comes there, you wouldn't want to touch your partner, trust me. Or when you touch her, it will not be intimacy anymore. You'll be living out your fantasy, and you'll not be making love. Listen, you can have sex with somebody and you're not having sex with that person. You're having sex with something in your mind. And the point is that your partner can tell. You can always tell when the person having sex with you is not having sex with you, but with something in his mind or her mind. So it can kill it, no. Why even go towards the porn? Try or do your own porno thing with your partner. Go on an adventure, discover each other, and learn each other. That is more fun.
Uncle from Nikwate. Uncle, the 58 times in a year, does it include the number of rounds in a day?
No matter how many rounds per session is one session. Okay, it is one session. Listen, no matter how many penalty kicks there is in a match, it is one match. So, no matter how many goals you score in a match, it is one match.
By text, Uncle, I am a girl, not married, but it's only married men that approach me. What is wrong with me?
Nothing is wrong with you. I think the married men, married men, we can always tell a great girl. Single boys, they often don't know what to look for. And so they are seeing something there that the single boys are too blind to see. Keep saying no to them. One day, the right person will come.
Anefi, Uncle Ebo White, this social notion that sex is a sin, how do we ensure that
No,
this
sex is what?
is a sin?
Yeah.
How do we ensure that this is not transferred to the next generation? I know a married lady who will never initiate sex because she still feels it's sinful.
Yeah, remember when I was talking about the courses, I talked about poor religious training. So that is what you are alluding to. But sex has its place. In its place, sex is great. Out of its place, it can destroy the very thing you were hoping that it will help you sustain.
Nana Ampon says, I guess today's topic is only for the married. I am a Thursday born, yow. Uncle, and naturally Thursday borns love sex.
Sir?
I pray my wife wouldn't get bored when I give it to her in the morning, afternoon, and evening.
You.
Can't bear the sexless stuff.
Yeah.
Hey.
Wonko obi fuomu a wo se wonko na oye kuafo. You say Thursday people what? Hey, Charlie.
Tuesday, yeah. Tuesday, yeah. Friday, yeah.
So yeah, don't bring yourself. What do you
You have no idea. Some people don't even know their day of birth, but their day.
From Kojo, Uncle, what if the lady in a relationship loves to have sex every day, but the man is not always in the mood? Would it bring a problem in the relationship?
It could, but talk about it. It doesn't need to, because you could talk about it. You could negotiate, and you could come to an arrangement that suits the both of you. So remember, marriage is always about give and take and adjustment. So that is what ought to happen here.
From Mavis, Uncle, please, how can I attract my husband?
Smell good when you come to bed. That is one. Don't let him always see you in shabby clothes in the kitchen. Every now and then, look pretty around the house. Don't just look pretty when you're going out. Look pretty around the house. Don't come to bed naked, because sometimes that's too much of an overload. But also don't come to bed wearing jeans. Wear something that is easy to maneuver around. And then I learn to speak with him with respect. And those things will help. And cook him nice meals. Fantastic. The way to a man's heart is still through his stomach, you know.
They deny it, sir.
Who is it?
So Abby's comment. She says, Uncle, the thing about them listening before marriage.
The thing about what?
About them listening before marriage.
Yes.
Single people listening before.
Oh, don't worry. When you get there, it will all come to you. You won't forget some of these things. 10 years from now, I'm sure somebody will find himself in a situation and say, this is what Uncle Bo was talking about. And it will help you. There are things that have helped me in my marriage that I learned when I was in my 20s. At that time, I didn't even think it were relevant. I didn't think I'd ever be in those kind of situations. But when I found myself in those situations, I remembered what had been said and what I had been taught, and it helped me.
Comfort says, Uncle, sometimes I find myself being shy of my husband. Is there something wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong, Comfort. There's nothing wrong. But with time, I'm sure that you'll get a little bit more comfortable. Every now and then, push the envelope. Every now and then, do something else beyond your comfort zone. And then I'm sure he will love it. I only hope that the age difference between you and your husband is not that wide. Because sometimes when it is that wide, then a certain part of your body, of your mind, sees him not just as your partner, but as a daddy figure. Then it becomes a little bit more difficult. But no, there's something wrong with it. And
Nana Abner says, Uncle, it's winter here. Some of us have to sleep in jeans.
Nana Abner, it is good you are sleeping in jeans, because don't forget, you just delivered how many weeks? So at this point, yes, that's the right dress code for now. But my regards to you and congratulations to you and your husband.
Uncle, I have denied my husband sex for some time now, and so he does not want to have anything to do with me anymore, even though we both live together. He always goes out and comes late in the night every blessed day. I try to amend things, but it's not working. What should I do?
What led to you denying him sex? Was it anger or what? What happened? I wish I knew, but in the absence of that, have a chat with him. One day tell him, can we have a chat? And if possible, arrange to go out with him and then have a chat and then apologize. And then he would forgive you. Because he may be coming back late, not doing anything out there, just to spite you, just to work out his resentment for being denied. So have a chat with him, and you may be surprised. Or one day, initiate something with him, and let's see what happens.
Quartet says, Uncle, where can you learn the best sex positions and skills?
Oh, God, what have I done to you? You know, we're having a very nice community meeting. All right, go on the net. You'll find some material there. And you can get material with that watching porno. That I can assure you.
Jikan says, Uncle, the age difference between my husband and I is very wide, but I'm really comfortable and happy because I have dated a younger guy and I see the difference.
Yeah, good for you. I'm happy it's working for you. Yeah. All right. Are we done?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So once again, I'd like to thank every one of you. Before I sign off, I have just one comment to make, and it has nothing to do with ENCORE. For those of you in Ghana, you are aware of the ANAS video number 12. In it, we see people taking little monies to disgrace themselves. I pray that anyone on this platform would live by a certain code of integrity. I wouldn't want to hear that somebody has been caught in anything like that. So if you're in this community, let our differences show. Let us not take monies we haven't earned, and let us learn to say, oh, please keep your money. I am paid to do this. That way, nobody can trap you. Well, with that, once again, thank you for staying with us. Thank you to the community. I cherish this community. One day we'll organize an event and bring all of you together so that we would know each other and have great fun. But until then, stay blessed and have a wonderful week. Hello. They call me Uncle WHYTE. I am the CEO of Roman Productions, but I'm also very much committed to helping you become your